unbelievably, it's magnolia. Another kind of cream. So I see absolutely no reason why you lot shouldn't be a bit more courageous about colour. I know you want to, but I know you're scared. Now, there are 3 things that can help. Very straightforward. Number 1, when you make the decision on which colour you want to try out, don't do that thing of taking the tin home, taking the lid off, looking at it and being sick. What you see in the tin is not what you're going to get on the wall, okay? Number 2, rather than doing little tiny dibs and dabs of colour all over the wall, go for a big block so you can really see what it looks like. I actually like to do it in a corner so that you're going to see it in light and in shade. And then number 3, with your tester patch, make sure that you give it at least 2 coats so that whatever's on the wall is not going to come through and affect the way that the colour looks. Be brave. You know you want to. You see, all you need is a bit of silky encouragement and some confidence. So here goes. Here's the room. We know which way it faces, where the light comes from, and what it's used for. The choice for this room is warm. I want to make the room feel intimate. Now, I could go for some strong, bold, contrasting colours, but what do I mean by contrasting? To help, this is a colour wheel. The wheel is made up of contrasting or opposite colours. Red and yellow on the warm side, blue and green on the cool side. Red and green are opposites or contrasts. Blue and yellow also are opposites, but they're all linked in the brain. Proof? I am going to fill the screen with red and I want you to really, really focus on the red, okay? You ready? Go. Now look hard and then close your eyes. Now, unless you're colourblind, at the moment your little retinas should be awash with green. Okay, you can look again. That is because colours share similar pathways into the brain, and the same kind of thing happens if you focus on yellow. You then get an aftersight of blue. This whole red-green brain pathway thingy isn't just an interesting Trivial Pursuit question, but it has implications for us hunter-gatherers.
The genes for the red and green sensitive photopigments are on the X chromosome. Men only have 1 X chromosome and women have 2 X chromosomes. So if there is a gene change on 1 X chromosome, then a man is colour deficient. And 8% of men have some sort of red-green colour deficiency. For a woman to be colour deficient, she has to have an abnormality of the same gene on both of her X chromosomes. So the prevalence in women is slightly less than 0.5%, 1 in 200 or 1 in 250.
Calling all blokes, is that why women get to choose the paint colours then, on the grounds that we're rubbish at it? Shame. Okay, so red is the opposite of green, blue is the opposite of yellow, and orange is the opposite of purple. But what happens when you stick them in a room together? Imagine a yellow room with a blue sofa. Do opposites attract? No. What happens is the blue becomes much more intense because it's next to the yellow. The yellow becomes so much more intense because it's next to the blue. That's great if you're going for vibrancy, but if you're going for peace, forget it. I mean, look at this. How orange does that look? And it looks that orange because you're seeing it behind a purple wall. So if contrast isn't your thing, let's go for harmony. Time to talk colour families and back to the colour wheel. Colours that live next to each other on the colour wheel are called families. They share similar characteristics. Take yellow and blue, mix them together and you have green. So azure, turquoise, sky, aqua, emerald, lime, olive and lemon are all in the same family. The same would be true of yellow, orange and red, or red, purple and blue. Each colour also has tone. Now stick with me here. It's not magic, it's quite straightforward. See colour in black and white. Look at the tonality, i.e. the darkness or the lightness. If you're trying to put different colours from the same family together, provided they are as dark as each other or as light as each other, they will unfailingly work. And what happens when you simplify things even further and you just get tonal?
Instead of the complications of decorating with different contrasting colours, why not just pick one colour? Tonal decorating using different shades of the same colour, say reds, pinks, or as here, beiges, might mean that you end up with a bit of a sludgy soup with very, very little definition to it. So texture becomes terribly important, or otherwise, how will you tell what's a sofa and what's a coffee table?
Right, you lot. We've looked at how light affects colour, how we react to colour, contrasting colours and colour families. Blimey, we've done so much. But it's also worth thinking about how colour can affect architecture.
Golden brown, texture like sun, lays me down with my mind she runs.
The use of colour can actually help with the proportions of a room. This room has beautiful proportions, lovely high ceiling, but if it was more squat, what I'd do would be to take the wall colour up onto the cornice or the coving, literally steal a couple of inches from the ceiling, which will make the wall feel taller. In this instance, I'm actually going to paint the ceiling and the cornice the same colour, and then the wall from there down. Extravagant, but worth it. Obviously, when I say I'm going to paint it, I mean he is. Anyway, what I'm doing is using colour to affect the architectural space. Here it will bring the ceiling down, part of my plot to make the evening room feel cosier. But there are other techniques, or optical illusions. If you're in the extraordinarily lucky position of having a room too large, like this one, you can use strong, bold colours that advance, appearing to bring the ceiling and the walls inwards.
And then there's colour blocking, drawing attention to an architectural feature with a strong or different colour and a neutral border. Now, that sounds hugely designery, but when you think about it, most of you are doing that at home already. Look at this rug. It's eye-catching, it's a vibrant colour, forcing your eye into the middle of the floor. The neutral flooring around it blurs, it disappears, making the room feel bigger. So what happens if you apply this kind of principle to a wall?
Well, it's the same as the rug, really. Blocks of strong colour advance, allowing the neutral colours around to recede, stretching the room away into the distance. Using receding colours like green and blue has a history. NASA used grey blue in Skylab to make it feel more spacious. And the last governor of Alcatraz, that great design guru, painted the cells pale green as a way of relaxing his guests. Which brings us neatly to how colour can affect mood.
Now you see, what I mean by that is that colour not only affects a room, it affects the way that you feel when you go into the room. Probably something to do with brain waves and wavelengths. But what I'm saying is that colour and mood are linked.
There's something in crimson. Something that should be stopped.
Red is vibrant and passionate, the colour of blood, war and fire. It's assertive, bold and risky.
Warm.
Pink, romantic, but can be shocking. Orange is joyful and exciting and stimulates the appetite. Yellow, sunny and happy, but can be egotistical and argumentative. Green, natural, harmonious and balanced. And blue, calming, sleep-inducing, the favourite colour of the majority of people, on which note. Colour, like fashion, has fads, often related to the way we feel about ourselves or the way we feel society is going.
Yeah. Olive is definitely in. Everything that can possibly mean anything, anywhere, at least for a year, has got to be olive.
The word zeitgeist is very important. This means that colours and fashions and trends very much reflect the spirit of our time. For example, in the early 70s, we had the 3-day week, we had the winter of discontent, and the whole of our market switched over to very natural colours. In 1979, Maggie Thatcher came into power, and there was immediately a spirit of optimism, and we had colours like bright jewel colours in our palettes, and deep, rich colours that were very powerful. And then we had the 1987 crash, and again we went back to naturals, but much warmer naturals this time. They were much more what we call cocooning type of naturals. Halfway through the 90s, we came out of the recession, and we've seen a huge influx of pinks, reds and oranges, and this represents a lot of energy, a lot of dynamism and a lot of positive thinking as a nation. Since 9/11, the American colour palettes have gone quite subdued. Blues and greens and aquas, these colours are much cooler, they're peace-loving. Blue is a peace-loving colour, and I think given the circumstances we're in at the moment, it's not a surprise that the palettes are going towards the blue-green end of the spectrum.
Anyway, let's get back to our evening dining room, the one, if you remember, we were going to wrap in warm and cuddly colours. I love it when a plan comes together.
So, having got rid of all those boring shades of bogey, look at this. A gorgeous, fruity, warm evening space, which is specifically calculated to rebalance the green light that gets bounced into the room from the grass. And it also goes to show that as long as you stick within your colour family, there's no end to it. I mean, I could go on and on and on. More aubergine, pomegranate, ruby, amethyst, all of the shades from the warm half of the colour palette. The same thing would be true if I was going on the cool side, so blues, greens, teals, aquas. There are accent colours in here, but they're natural accent colours. There's the bitter chocolate of the wood and this kind of doughy linen colour. But just because I can, and just because I felt like showing off, come and look at this. The perfect vase. That's what I call intense accenting.